Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I know most of you are probably doing very well. The market, after a good inflation number, all three indices headed up, starting with the NASDAQ. NASDAQ was up 326 points today, 2.37%. Very strong move. Just look at this market move. This is just a huge gap up. Good candle, but a very strong move just within the channel as well. So it'll continue. It has some resistance, as I had shown before in the last weeks, at 14,126, but this should, I think, head higher at least and hit the new high of 14,422 by the end of the year. There'll be a little bit of pullback. That's my expectation in this level. It should pull back a little bit, very similar to what it did back in September, and then head higher is my expectation. The S&P 500 also up about 84 points, 1.91%, way on the right side of the channel. It's formally actually a new channel now. This would be the new channel that it's forming. So the long-term channel is no longer this one, but now after the cup and the handle pattern, this is what this one is. That was a cup. Let me show you that may be more relevant in a long-term horizon. Let me show you what that would look like. Let's go to the weekly chart and the monthly chart. The monthly chart is a little difficult to be able to see. Let's go to the weekly chart. There you go. Beautiful cup, beautiful handle, and now a move up. So cup and handle pattern is very bullish. So this should head up a little bit higher. S&P 500 also nice gap up before the market opened and then heading even higher. So very strong results. I would say the resistance now should be somewhere in this range, which is in the 45-40 range, about another roughly about 500 points from here. You might find a little bit of resistance in the 45-13 range as well, which is it probably has to move up from. But otherwise, this is going to head up and to the right, at least for a little bit of time now. It's already there, but that was a good move. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average also up roughly about 500 points, 489 points to be exact. Very strong move up. And this resistance now should definitely be in the 35 or 56 zone. Again, almost another 500 to 700 points from here. Good move up. Should expect to go a little bit higher, find a little bit of resistance, move a little bit down, and then attempt to cross its way up again, back up. One of the stocks that came up on the radar on my scanner is Micron Technology. Micron makes memory chips. They're a semiconductor company. Semiconductor is usually cyclical. I'm going to remove a lot of these drawings that I have from before. So keep that in mind. Semiconductor is cyclical. In fact, if you look at the semiconductor index, just to give you a little bit of context, after a very strong set of moves up, formed a nice cup and a handle, and then I was moved back down again. So I'm going to update the cup and handle just to show you what that would look like. This is what that looks like. Very strong move up. Updated cup and handle on the SMH, which is a semiconductor, Vanek semiconductor index, a very good, if you will, cup. And here's the handle. Let me show you what that handle would look like. So on the cyclical side, good earnings from TSM, good earnings from a few others like ASML. Not perfect earnings. Let me make sure that you know it's not perfect earnings. Not everything is rosy and great for a semiconductor index, but a good move up. So let's look at Micron. Let's go through our 5-step process. We always start with the financials. It's a much more stable, older, tenured company. So don't expect phenomenal growth moves. But let's look at the income statement and then go from there. On an annualized basis, roughly about $20 billion, growing 60% year over year, slowed down to 50%, slowed down to negative 20%. Look at that move. Again, cyclical. Move up. This is the feast. This is the famine. Feast and then famine. That's how semiconductor is. So look at this. It's gone from 15 billion all the way up to 30 billion, and then now half of that, 15 billion. Trailing 12 months is about 1.5. Again, very small gross profit, roughly about 10%. That's interesting. The gross profit is about 1 billion. Net profit is about 30%. So that's very, very interesting. Got to see what this move is. Cost of goods is high, but if you look at the previous years, you'll find that the roughly gross margin is about 40% range, and the net margin this is a negative net margin. So that's why it's a little bit challenged. The net margin is about the 20-30% range. So good margins overall from an annualized basis. Let's look at it quarterly. That's the reason why it showed up on the scanner after 50%. So it was growing well in the last few quarters, and then dramatic decline in growth seems to be turning around. $4 billion last quarter was what they had reported in revenue. gross profit of 400 million, so negative 10%, and then lost $1 billion. My God, this is ridiculous. But still, showed up in the scanner. This is a yellow flag for me, but remember, it's a cyclical business. They have 65 billion in assets, roughly about 13 billion in debt. That's a reasonably manageable situation. They have still a lot of cash to go through this tough times in the market, if you will, for semiconductor industry. So keep that in mind as you watch out for that. Valuation wise, they don't have earnings of the recent time frame, so that's reasonable. This seems a little bit high for a company losing money or actually reducing revenue hand over fist. Negative 10% is what it's been. If you look at it from an annualized basis, let's go to an annual profitability and margin basis. They used to go at 40% gross margins, 40-50% gross margin, 30% end margins, and now negative 30%. So this is a stock that is moving on the uptrend. That should be reflected in the stock performance. Let's go first to the monthly basis. So look at this cyclical. Goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up. This is what the stock is. Again, goes up, goes down. This seems to be on an uptrend right now. So I wouldn't hold this stock for a very long term, because if you'd say, for example, bought it in 2000 and now you're holding it to 2023, you've done nothing but just go down. I don't know why anybody would hold it through that period. Now, here's the thing. The thing interesting about Micron is it has formed a nice flag or a U-shaped pattern over here, but moved up, did very well, and now is in a different pattern. So let's focus on that portion of it yet. On the monthly basis, it seems to be very much within the zone. I would say they are in a trending area. That's what I'm finding, that it has gone up within this range is the trend. It is just broken out of the range. That's the reason why it seems to have gotten a lot of interest in my scanner. So this was a stage 4 decline, stage 1 consolidation, stage 1 move up, stage 2 move up, stage 1 consolidation again, and then a move up again. So that's probably the reason why we know that it's just gotten out of range. Look at that. It's just gotten out of this very nice range. I'm going to make this a little bit more. I don't know why I put it so big, but let's assume that this was the range for most parts. It's just gotten out of the range. So that's probably the reason why it got up. So you know that logically speaking, let's do this resistance and support things first. So this could be one resistance at 98, but there's much better places to have a resistance, and this could be one level of support. We'd probably tighten it a little bit better as we get closer to the weekly and the daily chart. So it's range bound here. It was range bound here as well on the weekly chart. So this is one more range, just to give you a sense of what that range would be like. This is a stock that is in a trending basis within a range. Moved out of the range. So this was the breakout, moved a nice breakout, and then broke down again. So this was a false breakout. Well, not exactly a false breakout, actually did okay. And then has been struggling in this range between the, I would say, 75 zone. Let's tighten that up a little bit. And also in the lower end, it's about 61 zone. So it's been moving back and forth. Now it's broken out. That's probably because of either good earnings or more likely because, okay. So it seems like most of these stocks, semiconductor, seem to be getting on an uptrend again. So if I have to move back what the resistance would be, probably tighten the resistance to the 81 range, or maybe even this may be a little bit better in the 85 range. So it does have a bunch of resistance here that it broke through. It could see some resistance in 79, excuse me, but more likely it is going to head out to the 85 zone. I like this right now. Look at this, it actually formed a double top. Let's go to the daily chart, see what we find more interesting. So on a longer term basis, it is just broken out of the resistance. So this was a multiple top number 1, top number 2, break down. So this is a double top, broke down, and then had almost looks like in some cases a down pattern, and then has now done a very good job in the short term of having pulled through quite a few good green candles. So I like the move. I like the move here. Again, semiconductor, not exactly a holding pattern for me yet. I'm not convinced that I'm going to. If there was a semiconductor stock I was going to buy, it was not going to be MU. This is a trading opportunity, not an investment one as I see it right now. Until they actually show me strong fundamentals, this is not it. They're much better. For example, if you look at TSM, their growth is not as good, but if you look at the financials for TSM, which is another semiconductor company, if you wanted to invest, NVIDIA, go to NVIDIA. Why would you even do that? NVIDIA, TSM are much stronger. So NVIDIA, gross margins 54%, net margins 40%, much, much stronger, financially, fundamentally strong. I don't know about the chart yet from an NVIDIA perspective, TSM perspective, which I think would be another interesting company to look at some point in time. But this is also an ascending. So I think a lot of semiconductor stocks, including Micron, seem to be moving up and to the right for a little bit of time. So I like the move. Micron, how would I trade it? So you know that it's on an uptrend. It's just gotten out of the zone. It's just gone out of the resistance zone that it had for quite a bit of time. This is a nice breakout, beginning of a breakout. So my suspicion is it's going to go up a little bit more at least. 79 would be one stop. That would be one stop, and the 82 would be one stop. So what would I do? If I wanted to be able to trade this, I'd probably trade this at a point where I probably expect a little bit of a pullback over the next few days. The market just needs a little bit of a break after 11, 12 consecutive days of just moving higher and up to the right. Market will take a little bit of a break. Don't expect a big one. Wait for it to go down to the 75. There might be a little bit of resistance here. All of the moving averages are pointing up and to the right. This is a challenge, though. The RSI is extremely stretched. It's good, but look at the time. Every time the RSI has gone above this range, this is where it is right now. It is in the 72 range. If it goes to the 73 range, it has dropped down. So expect a little bit of a pullback. Of course, it doesn't mean it has to go all the way to here. In many cases, the pullback can even up to the 58 range. So do expect a pullback when it goes to this kind of a stretched valuation on the RSI strength. Might move a little bit of a pullback down, maybe a good idea to buy in the 63 range and from an RSI perspective, move back again. So that's my analysis on Micron. Showed up on the radar today. Love for you to be able to comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you like the stock, if you don't like the stock, if you're following it. It's a trading opportunity. I appreciate all of you guys subscribing and watching the channel. Please comment and let me know what you think.